Hello everyone and welcome back. Now if you're anything like me, you absolutely love the scents of fall. The wood-burning stoves outside, giving the air that crisp and alluring smell. I have so many fall candles that it's hard to pick just one, but I figured I'd go with the pumpkin spiced cheesecake. Nothing says cozy autumn vibes like pumpkin, baking, and a warm fire. So sit back with me, grab a hot beverage, and let's get painting. For today's video, your girl Jenitsu is going to be reviewing the Arteza watercolor brush pens and sketchbooks. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, I bought this set with my own money. I'm not sponsored in any way by Arteza yet. Arteza, send me free stuff! Anyway, on a side note, I did buy this on Prime Day, but Arteza actually had it for a lower price than the Lightning Prime deal. Same for all their sketchbooks, and the home website themselves had an Arteza Prime Day on their own site on certain items. So I do have to say, if you're gonna buy this product, get Arteza, check Arteza's site directly first. You might find a lower price than on Amazon, like I did. And I think I even got it in 2 days. The first thing I noticed about it is the damaged packaging. Like, dang, this thing is beaten to shiz. So, well, I can't say I blame Arteza for this. It was probably just my mailman shoving it violently into my mailbox. I do like that it comes in fairly minimalistic packaging. I do hate a lot of plastic, like excess plastic and things. I guess first thing I wish they did have is the interior plastic be reusable. Kind of like it can still be cheap, but maybe softer, to keep them in their slots like Prismacolor pencils do. Because, you know, what do you do when this happens and you can't keep it in the original container because it's busted? Suck it up, that's what. On the other hand, when I saw it, I thought I was gonna have to take them all out of the package vertically like Crayola crayons, but it looks like you just slide out the trays vertically and go. So on to the unboxing. Ooh, colors! There's a reason I say it that way, and I'm gonna tell it to you while I swatch these. Okay, so long ago in the days of undergrad, I was invited to what was called a stoplight party. So you wear certain colors, and based on that, it signifies what your relationship status is. Like, it was green if you were single, red if you were in a relationship, and yellow. I honestly don't know what yellow was. I guess the t-shirt equivalent of Facebook's It's Complicated status. Air quotes. I think I had a friend that actually went in yellow, though I can't remember why. I think maybe she had 2 or 3 guys fighting over her at this juncture. It happens in college, man. It just does. Being Twitter-pated at 19 causes some wild circumstances. But I digress. We wind up in this really shady-looking warehouse. The floor is covered in glow paint. People are covered in glow paint. I think there were some people around the entrance passing around paper-bagged lunches. Yeah. But we start dancing anyway and decide, we'll probably leave early before things get too out of hand or the cops bust this place. Which they did later, by the way, about an hour after we left. And while we're dancing, minding our own business, this group of girls comes over, and they all stare directly at me, and start asking over and over again, "Are you okay? Seriously, are you okay?" And I was confused, and was like, yeah, I'm fine. But they kept at it. "But are you okay, though? Are you okay?" First I looked myself over, asked my boyfriend if I looked sick or if my mascara was running so it might appear that I was upset or something. Maybe I was bleeding. I checked my skin, nothing. He just shrugged, and after they kept at it for a bit, I started to catch on. And I took a closer look at them and realized, oh, these girls are on drugs. Ecstasy, probably. I went to the Beaux Arts ball a different year and recall some similar behavior. Even had it offered to me. I didn't take it. And finally, my boyfriend at the time, he's laughing at me as I'm trying to reassure these crazy girls. And finally, the act that confirmed my hypothesis that these girls were indeed on something. One of them, the quiet one that hadn't said anything yet, bends down and scoops a giant handful of glow sticks off the floor, fans them out at our face level, peering through them with huge eyes, and just goes, "Colors!" in exactly that inflection and tone. Yes, we did immediately start laughing. But it's just weird that all 3 or 4 of these girls thought I was in dire straits for some reason. Like, one was tripping and saw me in peril, and the other started tripping the exact same. Or more likely they were just messing with me. A complete stranger. Not weird at all. Okay, so first impressions as I swatch these. First off, the nibs are actually soft and pliant with bristles like a real paintbrush, which is delightful. The brush tip is very fine, but somehow challenging to control. It's hard to describe, but it's almost as if it's so long at the point that I can't even see where the tip ends, so a few microscopic bristles end up spewing color outside of the lines. I can probably adjust to that over time, but you can see how messy my swatch turned out. I was gonna recommend this as a good lettering gift set, but I noticed some colors are not as juicy as others, so you couldn't do one clean sweep without getting some split in the line. But that is closer to a brushstroke aesthetic, so if that's what you're going for, then this will do fine. What I do love is how vibrant they are. It might take me 3 or 4 coats of a normal watercolor wash to get this level of opacity. However, this comes with the caveat of the color being quite permanent. You cannot lift it off the paper like watercolors. At first I thought maybe they just dried super fast, so I would have to blend them before I finished a whole row of the swatch, but even when I put water down immediately after one color, it still did not move. It was resolute, like the Queen's desk. Also, if you get the tip wet, the color will run away back into the tube, never to be seen again. Just kidding, but not really. Actually, if you use this correctly, it could probably be the proper way to get a gradient effect, but with just water on top of the brush on dry, blending is a generous word. It's really more like bleeding. Sort of like that blurred image you get or mess when you accidentally don't use waterproof fine liners before coloring. But during the drawing, I noticed they do layer over each other nicely. Just use water with caution, or put it down first in small amounts. I noticed the wet on wet technique flowed a lot better if you use the right amount of water. So rather than classifying these as watercolors in pen form, it's more like the love child of watercolors and alcohol markers. So incidentally, if you want something like alcohol markers but simply can't splurge for Copics or even Shinhan Touch, this is the way to go. The brush pen feeling is very coveted, and it's for a good reason. They're really fun to use. Not only that, but you don't have to do 1,000 layers before getting the hue you want, so this set definitely offers a lot of color pop for your buck. I mean that almost literally. This set and most Arteza products are super affordable. Arteza, please sponsor me! What was that? The wind. Now a little about the sketchbooks. The first thing I should mention about the paper is that it has alternating tooth. In layman's terms, that means that one side has a rough texture and the other side is smooth. In these little square sketchbooks, every other spread alternates between rough and smooth. And I like that. Also, it lays very flat, even brand new and on the first page. And there's even a pocket in the back. So I really dig these sketchbooks. We'll probably get a slightly bigger one, maybe the 8x8 squares. For this, I made a little sketch on the first smooth spread, which is almost like hot press paper. The next thing I wanted to note is that sketching is not what it's meant for. I had to erase lines a bunch and noticed that the paper frayed and came off on the eraser pretty easily. The drawing I decided to go with is from a game I binged all the way through because I loved it so much, and that game is called Celeste. It's a platformer, but has a new mechanic you learn with almost every new chapter. So the plot of the game is really sweet and wholesome. Madeline, the main character, is trying to overcome her anxiety and pessimism by climbing this mountain. And I was surprised for something with very basic, clean controls to have such a deep and relatable story. It's like Super Mario mixed with a self-help pep talk. It's kind of a journey of self-acceptance where Madeline and her other side, which I call Badeline, conflict with each other. But her other side is not really bad, just painfully pragmatic. So you play as Madeline, and her other side attempts to sabotage you along the way. So the idea I had was to have Madeline with her other self, and she's blushing because she's not used to the cute stuff. She is the darkness. Also, I had her holding a golden feather because that makes you fly from the game. And I have to be honest, this drawing is a disaster. It bled everywhere it wasn't supposed to, and refused to blend everywhere that was supposed to. I'm sure there's a learning curve for the first artwork with a new type of product, but I was actually so disheartened by how bad it was turning out that I just slammed the pen down and quit for a while. I considered starting a completely new video and doing a different product. I was too ashamed to even consider putting this online. But then I cooled off, came back, and began my salvage operation. I started with the background, trying to blend out the colors and try to make the northern lights happen. When it dried, I went back for the final details on her flower crown and on the hair. And finally, I did some heavy line work at the end to make the characters pop. Fortunately, that did cover a fair share of the bleeding, but definitely not all of it. On the other side of the spread, I did a simple floating strawberry, which you collect throughout the levels. I could have improved that a lot more, but I just kind of moved on with my life. So final thoughts. These brush pens are kind of like painting with a sharpened pencil, and I really dig that. The blending is questionable, but you can't expect fancy for that kind of price point. But I do think these are fun and super cute, so I do plan to try and improve with them. Maybe at the end of this sketchbook I will share my updated thoughts and techniques. So thank you for watching, and shout out to my first patron, Kylie Cooper. I really appreciate your support. It's super encouraging to me. Thank all of you for watching, and comment to let me know what you'd like to see next.